Welcome to Speak Out, like I said. This event is the culmination of a project that we've been running following consultations with young people between 2006 and 2007. We spoke with 300 young people from across our different projects that we run at REMAP. And for those who don't know, REMAP is a registered charity. We're based here in Leeds, but we work across West Yorkshire, trying to raise attainment and aspirations of young people from Black and minority ethnic communities. When we heard what young people wanted, we put a grant into the Equality and Human Rights Commission, and I'm pleased to say they were kind enough to fund the project through their interim grants program, which has been a phenomenal help for REMAP to deliver this work. The project seeks to address the terms of engagement, and it seeks to inform the debate around who, how, and when to engage. Particularly BME young people, fairness and equality. That's all we want. And that's what this project and the performance you see tonight would seek to address and inform you about. The work of this project has been coordinated and delivered by Chantel Davis, who, at the end of tonight, I think you'll all agree with me that she's done a fantastic job. I think she has. But Chantel, sorry, no pay increases. But she's been supported by a number of people. I'll just indulge myself a bit and name some of those young people. We've got the youth panel made up of Ayesh, Kutan, Suliat, Akib, and Joseph Berkeley. We've also got the youth action team, who are the key performers tonight. People like Azelia, Taresha, Latisha, and Shane, just to name a few. I want to say a big thank you to all of them because they've put in a lot of work. And there are others behind the scenes who have done a fantastic job as well, putting this tonight. You'll get to see, as the evening progresses, some of what we found in the consultation we had with young people across West Yorkshire. After my little bit, which I'm almost finishing now, we'll hear from some of the young people who will take us through the report. But before that, I want to call on every young person here who's not signed up to the BME Youth Voice Forum. This is an opportunity not to miss. This is an opportunity for you to begin to engage and to show how you want engagement to happen for you. Because we can't continue to decide what you need or what you want. You have to do that yourself. And the one way to do that is through the BME Youth Voice Forum website, which is going live this Friday. And it's going to provide a whole host of facilities for young people to communicate with each other, communicate with decision makers, and influence the policies that impact and affect their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to Speak Out and welcome to REMAP. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It is an honour to have the opportunity to present the BME Youth Forum. At a time like this, where BME communities are overrepresented in the criminal justice system, alternative educational programs, and have low prospects in the job arena, and whereby the same said communities are underrepresented in academic success, the professional arena, and amongst the wealthy, it is refreshing to know that not all black children are involved in black-on-black violence and that not all Asian children are at home being groomed in the fashion of extremism. By contrast, this group of young people are encouraging and uplifting. To know that young people from BME communities are interested and willing to participate in shaping their future is absolutely fantastic, and this should be celebrated. These young people are actually interested in politics. Well, maybe not politics exactly, but they are certainly concerned with the process that goes into making policies that will affect their dreams, aspirations, and potential. At the moment, generic policies pertaining to young people focus on increasing levels of participation and inclusion. Those pertaining to the BME youth have additional focuses such as providing appropriate role models and increasing entry levels into higher educational facilities. Well, this group have it all. Not only are they seeking to develop their academic process, but they are also willing to participate in decisions that affect their education and training opportunities, the environment that they live in, and the other issues that affect their daily lives. However, make no mistake about it, the young people you see this evening are not the only ones who wish to have their voices heard and opinions and needs acted upon. In fact, a vast amount of BME young people are willing to participate. Nevertheless, although they are willing, they lack confidence, knowledge, and skill that it takes to present their case clearly for themselves. Therefore, the young people you see before you today have been entrusted by their peers to advocate on their behalf using the confidence and skills that they hold. This is an excellent example of the importance of the BME Youth Voice Forum. The panel are not only advocates this evening, but they are demonstrators that this is possible. In preparing for this evening, 10,000 surveys were distributed amongst 176 secondary schools in the West Yorkshire area to consult BME young people on how they perceived politics and their role within politics. I have a presentation that breaks down the responses to the statements that the survey was compiled of. Before we begin the PowerPoint presentation, I'd like to read a quote from one of the survey's respondents. I'd like to see more BME people involved in politics because the young people of our country are the next generation and we deserve fairness and equal rights. This denotes that this girl, who was 12 years old, believed that in order to fulfill an equality and in order for policies to apply to BME young people and other citizens, the government needs to have a clear understanding of issues that concern these communities. But most importantly, they need to have a full appreciation of BME cultures and how they have enhanced Britain. The survey had statements to which the young people could strongly agree a bit, be uncertain, disagree a bit, or strongly disagree. If you turn your attention with me to the screen, this particular statement, this chart represents the statement, BME role model, BME youth should have an active role in political processes. Now, looking at the chart, it's fair to say that you're thinking that the Youth Voice Forum are interested in the 44% of the with this statement. And yes, this is true. We are here to help the young people who are interested in political policies, and the group are here also to support them in becoming actively involved in politics, whether it be through further surveys, opinion polls, focus groups, or attending meetings. We wish to provide accurate information regarding existing and forthcoming opportunities that are held. However, the Youth Voice Forum are particularly interested in working and supporting the 21% of the young people who were unsure, slightly unsure, or disagreeing slightly. We wish to bridge the gap of knowledge to enable them to make an informed choice. It could be that their lack of knowledge is just wondering how the day-to-day politics affect their day-to-day lives. If that's the case, we want to know so that we can help them bridge this gap. Then we can help them give clarity and be able to have a positive impact. Finally, we are also interested in the 2% who said that they disagreed strongly and that they didn't feel that they should be involved in the process. We want to know their opinions, we want to challenge them, and we want to give them information to allow them to see how they are, in actual fact, affected. This chart, the statement, "I'm not interested in politics because it's boring." Thankfully, only 53% disagreed. By becoming involved in political processes, young people may not only just understand what's going on, but the fact that they're actually taking part and making a change should increase their enjoyment in such a thing. This chart represents the statement, "Politicians do not listen to the views of BME young people." This chart is rather sad. It shows that only 14% of these respondents believe that the views of ethnic communities are actually listened to by politicians. By having the Youth Voice Forum and having the members consulted by different organisations, this opinion will change. After all, if people don't feel as though their opinions are listened to, there is absolutely nothing that will make them want to be involved in the process. This statement, "The media creates stereotypes of BME young people and their cultures." 8% of the young people who answered this survey said that they disagreed with this statement. This suggests that the majority think that the media are responsible for creating negative stereotypes that are attached to their communities, and this is something that the Youth Voice Forum wish to challenge. We want the media to take notice of the fact that young people are actually willing to take part in these processes, and we want the media to be at more events like this and portraying the young people in the way that they want to be portrayed. This pie chart, "The political decisions affect my everyday life." Now, although 77% of the respondents originally said that they were interested and believed that they had a part to play, only 57% of these respondents for this question believed that policies played a part in their daily lives. This is something that we need to be able to address. We need young people to see the link of politics and their day-to-day lives and how it affects them. Now, in the survey, the young people who were given a list of 12 issues and asked to tick 6 issues that they thought were most concerning. Most of the young people ticked the issues, and these were what the findings were. The first 6 are crime, education, racism, unemployment, the environment, health services, and tuition fees. Now, this graph is actually quite a good correlation with what the government plans and expectations are at the moment. However, I think you'll see that there's one thing on there that isn't necessarily on the government's current agenda, and that's racism. This, in a time where social inclusion is at its forefront of the government agendas, is worrying, as inclusion should mean everybody is able to participate regardless of their age, ability, or ethnicity. It is great that the government wishes to have an inclusive policy that includes everyone, but there is a legitimate fear that the government will make policies that will be very generic and not specific to the needs of the BME youth. Most of us know that young people are a heterogeneous group with different needs and different wants, and we need our policies to be able to reflect this. The desire of the Youth Voice Forum is to give the opportunity for government to consult them in issues that concern them so that policies can affect their lives directly. That's the end of the slideshow. Now, it's clear to see that change is on the horizon with regards to the way that BME young people perceive their role in politics. What is uncertain, however, is whether they will be given the opportunity to take part in these decision-makings that affect their daily lives, or if they'll be sidelined. After all, doesn't the government say in Every Child Matters that they wish that all young people should make a positive contribution? So will this forum be given a chance to make these changes, or will they have to go on to support their communities through voluntary measures? Will they have to be the next generation of BME young people who feel as though their voices are marginalised to those who are in the wider society. What will it be? Now, please welcome on stage a wonderful young lady who has a very bright future ahead of her, Aisha.
Good evening. First of all, I would just like to comment on the title BME, Black Minority Ethnics. Personally, I do not like this term that defines several groups of different ethnicities regardless of the much diversity a BME may have with another. From the East Asian to the Afro-Caribbean individual, all of whom come from different backgrounds categorized as one. When you hear the term BME, what do you think? Do you honestly consider the high academic achieving Sri Lankan girl, or does the antisocial African boy come to mind? Now be honest here, because I will. I am a so-called BME student, but even when I hear those three letters strung together in that particular order, I immediately attach all the negativity I hear about my fellow BME associates. The stereotypes, the stigma, and all the pessimism three letters have on students who belong to a particular race. I challenge these labels and these stigmas. In fact, every member of this forum and this panel challenge these stereotypes in order to overcome any self-fulfilling prophecies that may affect our positions in society, because we are the handful of students who are the future generation, not specifically to gain a hip-hop career or to open up a corner shop or to continuously feed the stereotypes, but to bring some colour into Parliament and into British politics. I have focused on the identity of British students, or perhaps the lack of self-identity of these students. Identity is based heavily on race and ethnicity. Now, statistically, some BME students are the most underachieving youth of today. They cannot identify with academic achievement, and it has been suggested it's because of what statistics show of them. But for the minority of these students who do well and break the mold, they must act white. They must lose their identity as this underachieving student, forget about their roots, and pretend they are something they're not. Or do they? If we agree with this, it advocates that underachievement is part of BME cultures. I don't agree with this generalization, and I believe that it is the media that scrutinizes the negatives rather than the positive contributions a BME student has to offer. We embrace our identity as British citizens, yet we embrace our forefathers' culture. Our parents and our grandparents did not face the haste that they did when they came to this country. They did not come here to see their offspring have no goal. The BME Youth Voice Forum is there to cater for these students who are lost in their own identity as British by nationality and an underachiever by ethnicity. The forum is there to engage and encourage students who have a lot of potential but are unsure as to whether they can pursue a career in politics. There aren't many people they can relate to who have succeeded in this already. What does Martin Luther King have in common with Malcolm X? Or even Mahatma Gandhi? What does he have in common with Nelson Mandela? Well, aside of all belonging to an ethnic minority, these men were all influential political leaders who have impacted the world over. But how many of these people were British? Not many of them. In fact, none of them. Exactly. What about Barack Obama? He seemed to woo everybody when he became the first president of the United States. But when will people see a BME Prime Minister here? Seems unlikely now. During our first meeting, we questioned why ethnic minorities did not take part in politics, and one answered, "I'm black. Who's going to listen to me when it comes to current affairs?" I have to stress that we are a group of dedicated, open-minded, high-achieving students with high aspirations working towards the development of our careers in politics. If there are no black or Asian role models in UK politics, then who will the future generation aspire to? We do not intend to just talk about making a difference, but we will act upon our words. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you. I would just like to introduce my friend and colleague, Sulia.
Good evening. My name's Sulia. British society has always been subject to immigration. I mean, we're an island, surrounded by water. People had to get here somehow. In its early history, Britain was invaded so many times that the white ethnicity is nothing more than a mixture of races, from the Celts to the Vikings, from the Jutes to the Saxons. This being the case, why is it so hard for said English people to accept these different cultures, these different races in their society? Immigration of ethnic minorities on a large scale started in the late 1940s with the end of World War II. Massive casualties meant that the British government were in desperate need of manual workers as well as professionals. On June 22, 1948, the Empire Windrush brought in hundreds of men from the West Indies. There are many reasons why these men, these women, entire families left their home countries behind in order to find a place in the motherland. Better jobs, better education for their children, whatever their reasons, their expectations did not match up with the realities. Despite this, many English people still believe that we came here to scrounge. It is time to hold up the truth. As the 1950s progressed, so did mass immigration, which directly led to the rise of racial tensions in the country. But why has racial prejudice left the streets and become institutionalized? My suggestion is that the ignorance of racism needs not only to be challenged, but also to be corrected with the facts. You may disagree that racism has become institutionalized, but may I cast your mind back to the 1970s, where so many Afro-Caribbean pupils were deemed educationally subnormal. Bernard Cord, in his book, Tell It Like It Is, stated that Afro-Caribbean pupils were victims of social and language bias, causing their behavior in schools to be deemed educationally subnormal. Unfortunately, not much has changed, as year after year, we see Black and Bangladeshi students being pushed to the bottom of the GCSE league tables, and a record amount of BME students are placed in alternative educational facilities. And let's not forget that when that BNP member list came out, there were people from various sectors included on that infamous database, such as those who work in education, religion, as well as the police. This is not to say that there has been no improvement whatsoever. In fact, from Oluwade Equiano, a chief player in the abolition of slavery, to Diane Abbott, MP and advocate of education, we have seen change. From Tariq Ali, a noted historian, novelist and filmmaker, to Amir Khan, we have seen an immense contribution to the mixed British culture and knowledge of today. So why is it that when a BME youth is asked which positive, well-known role model influences him or her the most, they reel off a long list of names, starting with Martin Luther King Jr. and ending in Barack Obama? Great people, no doubt, but why is it that they know so little about their own heritage, about their own ancestors, of their parents' and their grandparents' struggles, contributions and accomplishments in British society? Why is it that only those that are underachieving are represented in the limelight? It is not a lack of role models we're suffering from, but a lack of media recognition as well as recognition in our curriculum. The importance of one's history has been verified time and time again. You have to know the past to understand the present. These are the words of American astronomer Dr. Carl Sagan. This really strikes me as true because if the underachieving BME youth of today does not know where he or she has come from, how is he or she to know which direction they're going in or where they're headed in the future? Why is it, after over 60 years since the first BME settlers, 65% of Bangladeshis, 55% of Pakistanis, as well as 45% of black Africans in Britain today are still living in poverty? When the average youth does not know who represents their constituency in the government, how is a BME youth supposed to know who is representing him or her in British society? We've come a long way, from immigrants with no place in society to ethnic minorities with our own society and our own culture. But I do not think we have come far enough. We, as young people, need to and are here to show our fellow youth and let them know that there is more to life than what the media portrays. My message here tonight is that to move forward, we must be informed about our past. We need to show the young people that we are trying to reach that they need to know where their ethnic group has come from and how far they have come. They need to be able to voice their own opinions about the world and the events occurring around them and see that their voices are being heard. With the help and support of our Youth Voice Forum, they can have the help and advice they need on how to utilize the resources and information they have access to for their own achievement and to further their successes. And we can stop this never-ending cycle where underachieving youth grow into underachieving adults. Please help us to do this. Thank you. I am now going to hand you over to a fellow panel member, Akib.
There will be a lot of expectations for this programme, as to change the world is so much easier said than done. So you'll all wonder what we can do. Our capabilities play a vast role in our lives. The capabilities to achieve goals beyond reach are great qualities to bear. My capabilities consist of skills, from conversing with others to having a technical interest to the world around me. It may be hard to think about, but it's our capabilities, along with our constant aspiration to become what we want, what we need in order to have a positive impact in our lives and the lives of others around us. We are a group who have dedicated our spare time to learn about politics and its role in our lives. Surely such dedication deserves to be encouraged and nurtured, to empower us to make positive decisions that will affect the lives of ourselves and the people around us. I'm only 16 years old. I have many years ahead of me, and I plan to use them in the most beneficial way to make a positive impact to the lives of others around me. My role in this presentation is not to force or mislead you into believing the skills of this group of people, when it's fake to ourselves what our capabilities consist of. Everyone has skills, talents, aspirations, and dreams. We are not expecting you to make our dreams come true overnight, nor are we expecting you to realize automatically what our dreams can achieve. Our goal today is to give you a reason to invest in our dreams. We all have role models, people to look up to. These role models will not last forever. In Britain, there are not many role models of Black, Asian, or any other ethnic minority. Research shows the importance of such role models to improve the academic achievements of BME pupils. So I challenge you, as I am sure others will stand by me to ask the same. Either give me a positive role model or teach me the skills to become one. The skills we have between us, along with constant hope of living successful lives, is what will surely drive us into making most of our time in this world. People we look up to will come and go. It is up to us to put in that extra effort in order to become role models. My life will be spent making sure I have a positive impact on everyone I meet, whether they're Black, white, Asian, Christian, Muslim, or Jewish. It doesn't matter, because we're all alike, and to let the colour of another's skin be the cause of hatred is merely tragic. I ask for you to help us, not just to help ourselves, but also the people like us, who go through everyday struggles just like everyone else, but have to deal with the fact that because they have a different skin tone or follow a different religion to people around them, they're often treated in a negative way. Even those who are treated differently because of the way they dress or do their hair or anything as minor as that. It will be beneficial to be around people that go through a similar struggle. If I were in that position, I know I would. A day will come in all our lives where we'll look back to our past to recognize the impact we have made upon this world. There will be some of us that believe our part is yet to be played. Some of us that have made small significant changes that affected the people we stood by. And then there will be the people that rose from being frowned upon, rose from being mistreated for minute reasons, rose from stereotypical remarks along with being segregated. And after all that, they stood tall, smiles from ear to ear, chins high up in the air with the willpower to achieve anything they wish to accomplish. That day will come in all our lives. signalling the end and the beginning, the end of race associated with colour, the end of religions looked at indifference, but the beginning of something beautiful will emerge, a new way of thinking, a way of recognising another individual as an equal. And nothing will be said disrespectfully in regard to their skin colour or religion or anything else. I can already see it, just in the distance, slightly hard to reach, but it's there. And when one of us reaches that opportunity to change the world, be it me or anyone else in this hall, the rest will follow. I believe Martin Luther King did not walk for us to follow in his footsteps. He took the last step in hope that one day we can achieve flight. This program is a step towards that moment. I guarantee I will stand by it. If Barack Obama, not so long ago, told America it's time for change, then I myself stood in front of you as my witness. Tell Britain it's time for change, and we will change. Thank you for listening.
Darling, the party's excellent. Did you get to the party? Did you go to the party? I heard the balls went. Fantastic.
Order! Order! Commons in session. Question for the Right Honourable Member of the Mashahar.
Thank you, Speaker. Honourable Associated Ministers, I stand before you all today to humbly draw your attention to the staggering national deficit. It is without a shadow of doubt that I humbly request more blame to lay on those frivolous privateers that dare call themselves bankers.
My right honourable friend. Let us not forget that we played a large role in others.
Rubbish.
And that those false, ghastly banker gangster types to apologise for swindling off with the cities and all our hard-earned cash.
Right, honourable friend, let us not also forget that kind words of apology count for very little now that the money has actually been lost. All this talk of blame being levelled is fast becoming worthless. We should instead be looking at the issue of accountability and the implementation of more stringent regulation for the more reckless aspects of the banking industry.
This is madness, sir. Yes. Without the freedom to operate, the banks would have never come to such wealth in the first place.
Right.
Yes, that's correct. Taking these freedoms away in such delicate and financial climate would hobble the banks and cripple the system. Ridiculous. I put it to the House that neither the addition nor detraction of the freedoms attributed to the banking industry would